Okay, first off, putting the Cal game to bed. Proud of our guys. It was a hard-fought game. Required the full 60 minutes, every bit of the full 60 minutes. And the real key to the game was our ability to take the football away. We generated 6 takeaways, which you're not going to lose many football games when you get the ball back to your offense 6 times. On the negative side, we did have 3 turnovers of our own, so it was a +3 in the ratio, which is still very, very good and gives us a good chance to win the game. Devontae was obviously huge in the game, over 200 yards rushing and another 40 or 50 in receptions, and so he was a big part of the reason why we were able to come out on top. And of course, the offensive line, they play a big part in that as well. Those yards are not going to come in that fashion without good offensive line play. So a lot of good things. Some things to work on coming out of the game. Obviously, the throwing game was nowhere near what it needs to be. We understand that. It was very good the game before, but took a little bit of a backward step last week, so we got to get that back on track. But overall, sitting right where we want to be, heading into the Arizona State game, which will be Game 6 and obviously the midpoint of the season. They seem to be hitting their stride. Arizona State does. They're coming off a couple nice wins, and they're playing well right now, so should be a great ball game.
Kyle, Arizona State's obviously giving you guys trouble. I think it's been since '76 since Utah's even beaten them. Can you just talk about what challenges they present and why it's been a difficult matchup?
Yeah, well, they're first of all well coached. They're a good team. They have good athletes. We've played them down to the wire, last year and the year before, and came up short. There's 2 teams in the conference that since we joined we haven't been able to beat, and Arizona State's one of them. And so we got them at our place, which is a plus. And that environment, by the way, on Saturday night was great. I mean, our fans and the atmosphere was as good as there is. And so we're hoping to get a repeat of that this week and really give us another home field advantage.
With the passing game taking a step back against Cal, what was that more a result of Cal playing good defense, or were there things that you saw offensively that need to be tweaked, need to be worked on?
I think a little of both. I think we need to, we needed to probably take some more deep shots. We connected on the one to Corey Butler, but we've got to be able to stretch the defense a little bit more often than we were on Saturday night. Route structures. The DBs of Cal did a nice job getting their hands on our receivers and redirecting routes and taking away the timing of some of the route structure. And so it's a combination of things, but I know we're at our best offensively when we're balanced, and we weren't very balanced on Saturday night.
Coach, you said ASU is hitting their stride a little bit in your opinion. They came into the season with 10 returning defensive starters. Are they playing the same brand of defense they've played the last couple of years in your opinion?
They are. They've got a scheme that they haven't deviated much from since Coach Graham arrived there, and they're playing good defense right now, and it's the same stuff that they've been doing for a few years, and they just do it so well. You know what's coming. You just got to block it. It's one thing to know what's coming and what your assignment's going to be. It's another to execute it, and that's what we've got to be able to do.
How about on offense? They got off to a bit of a slow start, but the last 2 games against UCLA and Colorado, they seem to hit their stride. What have you seen from Berkovici?
Well, he's playing good football. The running back is really good. They got a couple good wide receivers, 2 or 3 really good wide receivers. But really the key, in my estimation, is the offensive line play. Their offensive line is playing lights out, and that's always been a strength of theirs ever since Coach Graham got there. The offensive line has really played well, and they seem to be playing better this year than maybe at any point in previous years.
Coach, you've talked about the mantra, all in or in the way. At this point in the season, how do you feel about the team's buy-in and their commitment?
Very, very good. I think we've got everybody on board. We don't see anybody on the fringe, and we're all pulling in the same direction, and that's the key. And that's comes with the all-in philosophy. That's really what it's saying, is have everybody pulling in the same direction. We feel we're doing that.
ASU obviously had some ugly losses to Texas A&M and USC earlier in the year, and then the last 2 games they've kind of been blowing. Well, maybe not UCLA, but they've been winning convincingly. What's kind of turned around for them in your eyes?
Well, first of all, Texas A&M and USC, those are 2 talented football teams, and so A&M's still undefeated. They're 5-0, I believe, and so they just weren't. ASU wasn't executing quite as well early on as they are now. They weren't playing quite as good a defense. They just tightened everything up. Everything's just gotten better as the weeks have progressed. And like I said, they're playing their best football right now, in my estimation, at any point in the season.
After throwing the ball not quite as well as you had in the previous weeks against Cal, you face an Arizona State team that the offense has struggled to move the ball in the air against. What are you going to kind of try to work on this week to get the passing game going against ASU?
Well, just everything in general. I mean, we're not going to obviously tip our hand and tell you exactly what we're going to do, but we've got to be better, and there'll be our guys will work hard in practice, and I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that our players are going to be committed to getting the passing game back on track, and there's a lot of moving parts in the passing game. It's not just the quarterback, it's the protection, it's the routes. There's a lot of things going on in the throwing game that have to be right in sync, and so we'll work hard this week on getting everything back in sync.
You said after the game that you were pretty happy with the way your players responded with all the game day attention and the national coverage. It's only going to get more intense the more success you have. Right. How equipped is this team as you go forward if the success continues? Well,
I think very equipped, and I think they proved a lot of that last week. There was a lot of attention on that game with game day right on campus, and it's something that we just got to continue the same mentality, block out the external noise, and stay focused and not get ahead of ourselves. And the key is to take it one game at a time. I mean, that's the oldest analogy and adage in football, one game at a time mentality, but it's absolutely critical and applicable to us right now.
Coach, you hinted at the game day atmosphere. Being there on the sidelines, it was intense, and the game itself was intense coming down to that final drive. Where does that rank in your list of games? I know you've had a lot of these ones in the Pac-12 recently.
Yeah. As far as the crowd, or
just as far as the environment in general, it kind of reminded me of USC last year.
Yeah, great environment, and one of the best, in my recollection. I think it was the second biggest crowd in stadium history, if I heard the correct numbers on that, but it was phenomenal, and everybody stayed from start to finish. I mean, obviously nobody left. It was every seat was taken for the entire 60 minutes of the game, and I've said it before, but our players, the boost and the energy that those fans give our team is big, and it's a big factor for us.